of the strawberry season really, and I've let the runners develop in the strawberry bed, and I'm going to be thinning them out soon and replanting them and moving them around. But before I do that, I want to give this bed a good feed to let the natural rain that happens at this time of year and the potash move through the soil and really get the roots growing so that these make really good fruits next year. You saw earlier that I was cleaning out my fireplaces. Now I only burn wood, and if you have a wood burner and you burn wood, then the ash that you're creating is really good for the garden. For vegetable beds, you can lay this directly onto the surface over winter and let the rain push it through the soil, or in herbaceous beds you can dig it through at this time of year and through winter, so that you're kind of recycling it into the ground and you're putting a good dose of potassium, which is really good for all roots, into the soil. Now, you don't need to sift it, you don't need to worry about things like elements of charcoal, because little bits of charcoal actually work really well in the soil to bind mycorrhizal fungi into the soil to help the relationship between the root and the soil to get nutrients, to get plants really growing. So what I'm going to do is spread this bucket of ash here as one of my jobs this month, because I know that I'm going to be working on this bed later, and I'm going to show you the other thing which is really important at this time of year as we're kind of putting the garden to bed. Now it's November here, it's still quite hot, which is just proof of the difference that's happening in the climate. But what I'm trying to do is do my last mow of the year, which for me is about November. Should be roughly the same for you. If you're in the southeast, the southwest of the UK, should be about the same time. Before you do this last mow, and while the soil is still warm, have a check for any bald patches, and where they are, sow some robust grass seed. Wait for that to germinate, anchor into the ground nicely, and then you can just clip all the grass over nicely, and it should stay looking neat and tidy into next year, into February, March, when we'll have to start cutting again. Don't cut it too short. At this time of year, make the cutting on a much higher setting, giving you about 2 to 3 inches of grass. That way it will be more durable over winter, and you won't end up with muddy patches where you've come in and out of the garden. The cuttings that you've been taking, normally they go onto the compost heap, I'm sure, but what I would do is only put the grass onto the compost heap when it's very dry, as in the compost itself is dry, because it will add a layer of wetness and help the continuing mulching down of compost. Normally what I do with my grass clippings is directly apply it to borders under trees, shrubs, raspberries, the kinds of areas where I don't want to weed, and it makes a really good layer that breaks down naturally into the soil and keeps the constitution of the soil really good and healthy. That's what I'm going to do with mine. I'm going to carry on mowing now. Hope you have a good November and all of the projects that you're working on come to fruition, and that we can continue gardening a little bit longer and still enjoy being outside.